I'm just going to do a quick run through on the various kinds of pocket watch cases that you're going to come across when you're collecting. One of the most common questions I get is, how do I open this watch? I mean, I see it all the time. Do I unscrew the front? Do I unscrew the back? How do I open this watch? And what I have here is a collection of about 5 different types. They're different types because different ages, different styles, everything. But the opening mechanisms on all these is sometimes a little similar, sometimes different. But I'm going to show you how to look at and decide which one you need to do. I'm going to start off with this one. This case is a swing out case, opens through the front. There, you can't open this from the back. And when you look at a watch like this, you'll see that the edge, there is only one seam. That's a key indication that this is not a watch you can open from the back. So, we take it, and you have to unscrew it from the front. To get to the movement, there's 2 possibilities here. One is that you do pull the stem, and the other type you don't. I always suggest you try to pull the stem first. You hear a click, you know you're good. There's a little nick down here at 6. Just get your nail in there, and it swings open. That's a typical swing out case. You find these in a lot of different varieties. 16 size, 18 size, 12 size. I mean, it doesn't matter what the size is. A lot of times when you have a swing out case like this, with no seam except for on the front, it's going to be a swing out case. Unscrew the front. Now I'm going to go to another one where you unscrew it. This is a typical kind of railroad watch case. These are lever set. You will find watches that are pendant set. They'll look very similar, but one thing you'll notice is that there are no hinges. When you look at this case, there are no hinges around the edge. And you'll notice there are actually two seams. So you know that this opens front and back. One thing you look for is whether or not there's a raised section here off to the side. If there is no raised section, there's a possibility this is a screw open case, because they put a little lip there to let you know. Okay. And one thing to know is you really can't damage a case that's a pop open by trying to unscrew it. Okay? It'll just keep spinning and spinning and spinning. You try to pry open a case that's screw back and screw front, you can mess up the threads. You can damage the case. So it's always better to try to unscrew the case than to try to pop it off as first thing, especially if you don't see any raised section here. So this is relatively simple. You just unscrew the back, and there you go. Always be careful when you're screwing the case back on. You do not want to cross thread the case. Once with enough practice, you'll get used to it. The front unscrews as well, because this is a lever set watch, which means that you pull out the lever to set the time. That is something you'll find on railroad watches. In this case, you don't need to pull a pendant or do anything else other than just unscrew it and screw it back. Now, we're going to move to one of them where I was talking about the lip. And this one I chose because it's very prominent. You see this here? That sitting off to the side there tells you this is a pop open. You know, this is a snap shut case. And sometimes you can get it with your nail, sometimes you can't. A lot of times these will have a secondary cover inside. Now, you don't see a little place with a raised section, but these you'll typically see a section like you see there, where there's actually a cutout, a cut-in. You can use a pocket watch case opener, or just case opener, and it slides right there, and then you just open it up. One of the things I've always found as a good idea is if it's really tight, don't just go prying. Slide your case opener around the edge. Because of where it's hinged, it'll get tighter and tighter, and that may actually cause it to pop open without having to pry it. Also, to remember, this case is a hunting case, so it opens from the front. Always press down on the button before you close the lid. You do not want to wear out the case. But one thing you'll notice is you can see there's the hinges. They're obvious. You're not going to have a screw open case that has hinges. It just doesn't work that way. There could be a combination of a hinged back and a screw front, maybe, but you're more interested in the fact that the back has a hinge. And that'll let you get into the watch by popping it open. Now, something somebody will see that is used to European watches is this type. Now, there's no raised section. There are hinges. But one thing to notice before you go prying it open is look at the top. There's a button. There's a lot of European or English cases where there's a button. You just simply press the button and it opens up. Again, inside you have a inner cover that comes open like the other one did. Do not snap it shut, press the button. And that's an open face case with a button. So just because it's open face, don't assume that it just pries open. You press the button and it opens. But like I said, you'll find that more on English watches, some Swiss watches, French. It's more of a European thing. This one's a bit of an oddity. Kind of. The company's an oddity, but the case is very simple and basic. This would be your dollar watch, Ingersoll type idea of case. There are no raised sections. You can try unscrewing it, but like I said, it'll just go around and around and around, and you really can't damage it. These were cheap. These are cheap cases, simply made. In this case, put a knife right behind the edge and pop it open. These will snap on and off quite easily. Depending on the watch, depends on how it's set. This one's a Manhattan, so you don't ever pull up the stem on a Manhattan. You pull up this little stem off to the side, but it's pretty much one of the only companies that uses that. Otherwise, you'll have a pendant set where you pull up and push down on the crown in order to set it. So that's basically the 5 that I typically come across. Most often you're going to come across the screw front, screw back, or the hinged front, hinged back, or you're going to come across the swing out case. You're going to come across a lot of the pop-ups, but they're going to be lower quality watches a lot of the time. But by no means don't consider something just because it's a lower quality meaning less collectible. And then, of course, depending on where you are, the European style with the button on top. There are a few others that I didn't go over, but this should give you an idea of what you're going to be facing.